Good evening. This is a Subarctic Beekeeper somewhere north of Fairbanks, Alaska. It's almost 7 p.m. It's March 19th. It's 19 degrees Fahrenheit, above zero. Great thing. Been outside working. Been able to do it in a t-shirt and jeans and boots. That's wonderful. I'm not in the bee barn today. I checked out the bees yesterday. They're fine. But right around this time of year, I get this feeling like they've lasted this long without defecating. How much longer can they make it? Last year, I took them out in March, late March, I think. So I couldn't wait any longer. Well, we've been having temperatures up to the 30 degrees above zero level during the day. And I got to get these bees out. My aim is to get out tomorrow. So I'm making a structure. Why not? Can't stop thinking about what's going on in Ukraine. Feel completely helpless about it. So this structure is a giant deck box. I found a video on YouTube, gave me a framework of an idea. It is 10 feet long, 3 feet high, and 3 feet wide. I changed the measurements that the YouTube guy did it with to meet my needs. I can fit 6 hives in here, right next to each other, which is what I aim to do. So being right next to each other, they'll share warmth. I'm making it out of 2x4s. Now I'm doing 1x4s. It's not worth describing. But what it's going to do, it's going to allow my bees to be outside. Sorry for the drill sound. The structure should be done by tomorrow. And then I can get my bees in here. So on the bottom floor of this will be pink foam. Pink foam insulation. After that, I'll put a layer of plywood, and after that, I'll put a layer of tar paper, because tar paper can take hot temperatures and not catch on fire. After the tar paper, I will put my heaters that I made last year, that are made from a battery heating pad that we use for our cars here. And on top of the battery heaters, I have a piece of aluminum, because aluminum is great for absorbing the heat and reflecting the heat back as part of thermodynamics. On top of the aluminum, I'll have another piece of tar paper, because I don't want anything catching on fire melting. Then another piece of plywood. Seems like a hell of a lot of work to go through just for some bees, huh? But they're worth it, especially up here where bees are $250 a box for 4 pounds. It's ridiculous. But that's what we got to do up here. So this thing will last for a long, long time. I'm making it well. I'm making it very structurally sound. It's going to be sturdy. I'm making it strong, and I will weatherproof it so it'll last for a long time. The idea behind this is I'll put the beehives in, close the box up. Around the edges of the frame of the inside of this giant deck box will be insulation. The wood on the outside, R factor of 1. So I'll put some R-Tech on the outside of that to increase the R value, which means that it will keep the temperature warm inside. Everything is frozen. The deck is covered with anywhere between 1 inch to 6 or 7 inches of snow and ice. It took 40 gallons of hot water for me to melt the area that I put this contraption on. I know this because I hauled the water out in a 5-gallon bucket. Right now I am putting wood underneath the structure so that if there's any wet areas on the deck, this contraption will not freeze to the deck. It looks like I've almost got everything I need to finish it. Although I'm short on wood. I don't know how. I made a materials list, but materials list, schmerials list. Looks like I'm about 12 foot 1x4s short. Not sure how that happened, but that happens. So tomorrow morning it'll be off to the hardware store again, and then to the thrift store, because part of the inside insulation of this contraption is going to be wool, because wool is excellent insulation. There's some sort of chemical reaction that happens with wool that makes it unusual. So it absorbs your heat from your body. When you're wearing something with wool, it absorbs your body heat, holds it, reflects it back to you. But then if you're sweating or there's any moisture in the air, something in the wool causes a chemical reaction to make that moisture be released back as warm air. From moisture to a gas? I don't know of any other substance that does this. I came across this fact arbitrarily after meeting with Anne Chilcott in Scotland and spending the day with her. One of the things she showed me was that she uses wool in the top of her hives for winter insulation. I'd never thought of it before. And I thought, okay, that's awesome, but probably wouldn't be applicable to our winters up here. However, when I read up on it, it turned out it's extremely applicable to our winters up here, because one of the problems we have in our hives in the winter is a buildup of moisture. And we do various things to mitigate that. So I'll head to the thrift store tomorrow morning and buy up all the old wool sweaters and old wool blankets. And those will go on the inside of this contraption around the hives. So the heat will be coming up from those heating pads, radiating through the aluminum, dispersed into this cavity where the hives are, keeping the hives warm. The wool will be around the outer edges of the inside of the container, so it'll absorb any excess moisture, and it'll reflect back, so it'll keep it warm. If all goes well, my queen will be happy, warm, and laying, and my bees will be able to do their cleansing flights when the temperatures are warm enough, get their little butts back into the hive, and then I'll be able to close the doors on this contraption for the night so that they stay warm and toasty. And then I can open the doors again the next afternoon when the temperatures are above freezing. This is like a transitionary bee barn, but it's much smaller. It's a lot of work. But if I think of it as an experiment, it's all good. I hope you're taking care of yourselves and your bees, and I hope Ukraine wins this war. This podcast is copyrighted, all rights reserved.